I'm sorry, folks, we ran over time here. Let's get the meeting started. If you'll join me with the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sam, would you lead some prayer, please?
Dear Heavenly Father, we come before this morning again, give you honor and glory and praise, and thank you for a wonderful day. Lord, we ask you to guide us, help us to stay in your will. Lord, watch over us all as a community and the county to do what's best for all in this county, in this community. Lord, please forgive us our sins and shortcomings in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Sam.
You're welcome.
We have all three commissioners present this morning. If you haven't signed up on the sign-up sheet, please do so. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Bob, a second by Dale. All in favor? Aye. Give me a second to find those here. Thank you, Sheila. Next on the agenda is claims. And we are going to pull one of those this morning, Health Department claim for $8,300 and some change, which takes our claim amount down to $381,981 and 63 cents. We also have payroll at $213,116 and 42 cents. Jim, I'm going to stop there and let you touch on the claims process and where we're at with our finances.
So the commissioner start off, speak for brevity again. The good news is, now we're in the month of February. Owen County has had a positive balance in its general fund in December, January, and February for the third consecutive month. I know that needs to be all 12, but this is kind of a new ground concept for the county.
Compared to our 30 red ones previously.
Yeah, so we're positive balances. Operating, all of the main operating funds, even with the payment of all these claims, all will have a positive balance. Just in numbers, roughly $700,000, and these are just rounded at the most even number, but there's over $700,000 in the general fund. QCAP has about $260,000, EMS $587,000. Public safety, lit, all of these elections and everything, all have positive funds. The only funds in Owen County at this point that are showing in the red are grant funds. There's a reason for that. Many of these are reimbursable grants, so you pay first and then are reimbursed. You do have 3 grants that claims will put them in the red. It's 8904, the COVID Indiana Criminal Institute, 9125 GLLCSA, and 9167 hazard mitigation. Those are the only 3 funds that the claims will be put in the red, and they are grant funds. They are not operating funds. The good balances all the way through as far as the highway, looking at their main funds are 1169, 1173, and 1176. Each one of those have a balance of 124,000 or greater. Each every one of those. The QCAP, all the others, Riverboat, Lit Edit, all of the operating funds all have positive balances. So this is good news as we go into 2022. January is continuing with that. With a caveat, if I may say one thing, say it once, say it 3 times, still have to watch spending, have to watch spending, have to watch spending. Just it has to be done on the claims. On the revenue areas, those are going well. Just for your point information, commissioners, for your revenue, these are the monthly amounts that are pretty well fixed. So the general fund will receive a lit certified distribution of $211,000 $126.58. That's gonna come in each month, that's the amount. Lit edit, is $84,896, those amount. The sheriff's, called the new fund, it's $1170, the lead edit public safety. The sheriff gets $254,543,017 monitoring his budget. That's not out of the general fund. Highway funds were very good. The balances were high, but the revenue distribution in 73 and 76 was $132,000 each. That does vary. For Kathleen in the 911 and the BSA lit, 1222 and 1235. That balance is $24,008 of revenue that will come in each month, and that's in 1222. And in 1235, it's $35,949.42. Those numbers are important because that is the amount, that's the parameters as far as the spending. So even though it's only beginning of February, Owen County can very reasonably predict the amount of money coming in this year, the amount of money as far as budgeting. Those fixed numbers, that's it. It's not gonna be any more. On all the variables, those were all high compared to 2021 and 2020. So I think you'd wanna look those as a high water mark. But there, I wouldn't say that Greg in any way would guarantee that 131 would be the distribution every month. And just an oddity, I know it's cold and it's snowing, but in August, for whatever reason, in 11/76, that drops way down. That's every year. So those are kind of the parameters. It's very good news all the way around. There's nothing being played with a negative balance. It needs prudence. It needs good, rational, mathematical decision-making all the way through. But all the funds, I would report to you, are positive, and that is a change, say, compared to a few years ago.
Thank you, Jim. So roughly the general fund amount of $700,000 is gonna last us from now to July till the next settlement.
With the understanding of a couple things. There's that 232 will come in each month, okay? So that anything spent over and above 232 will deplete the balance. So once payroll and claims reach that level of 232,000, that's where the decline is. Now, this will not happen, but just theoretically, if it was never up there, the 732 would not change. That's not going to happen. Owen County will spend more than it takes in. That does not mean that's mismanagement. Come on, say that's the idea with the settlement. When the settlement comes in, say in December and May, just picking those 2 months, that's also with the expectation that's to carry through. But it's an excellent point. 732, at least for right now, I mean, after you take out the claims, and if we haven't received it in the 232, that's the number to work with. Any dollar spent over 232,000, it goes down. So let's say we have a claim cycle and a payroll cycle that's several $100,000 more. That's going to make a significant effect on the general fund.
Thank you. With all that being said, gentlemen, it puts, with pulling the health department claim this morning, it puts it again at $381, $981, and 63 cents. Do I hear a motion to approve?
To pull it?
No, a motion to approve it after we pull it. There's our balance. It was at $390, $341.55. We pull that claim, it puts it down to $381, $981, and 63 cents.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion by Bob, a second by Dale. All in favor? Aye. Do I hear a motion to approve payroll, 213, 116, and 42 cents?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion by Dale. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Jim, at this point, we'll have you update the ARPA plan and expenditures, and it looks like we have several people here What do you have, Sheila? Oh, out of cycle claims. I'm sorry. We have one more. Out of cycle claims. Have a out of cycle claim here. Looks like it's probably Visa, utility bills, etc. for $15.67 It's the Toshiba bill. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion we approve the out of cycle claim.
Do I hear a second? Second by Dale. All in favor?
Aye.
Is
There's the list over there. So they all are.
because we approved them all. There's the last one. Just put it with it. That's just the sheet she had with it. I'll pass it on down there and put it on the stack.
Put that stacked. There's dozen copies.
All right, Jim.
So, Commissioner, I'm just gonna start at the beginning if I could. The Arpa funds, money that comes from the federal government. Owen County has been allocated $4,039,962. Owen County has received one of those distributions of approximately $2,019,981 on July 31st of 2021. There is an expectation that Owen County will get its second distribution, the other $2 million in May of 2022. At the previous meeting, there was a request of commissioners to amend the Arpa fund as far as putting them. The term that's normally used in discussing this fund is buckets. There's certain buckets that money can go in. Some things that it could not go into. It cannot just simply take this money out of this ARPA fund and put it in the general fund. That is not allowed. Building a jail or penal institution appears to be one of the prohibited buckets. It's not allowed to do that. And also just taking this money and putting it into a pension plan is not allowed. Now, why spend this time talking about what's not allowed? There were significant changes by the Department of Treasury when the rules or the guidelines first came out. So roughly about 8 months ago, there were prohibitions. One of those was simply it could not be used for streets and bridges. The council, commissioners, everyone kind of decided, since these rules were changing, the position basically from the county was just to put the money in the bank, let decisions be made. Well, a final rule came out from the Department of Treasury, and with their final rule, they loosened or expanded the rules of where this money can go. One of those areas was for streets, bridges, and infrastructure. The basic legal premise that was presented was any distribution of under 10 million basically could now be used in the capacity of what's called lost revenue and the counties, the towns, the municipalities would make their decision. Prior to that, lost revenue would require forensic audits and coming in, and really the cost would be prohibitive of even trying to do that, not just for Owen County, but all the counties. So this rule is quite a change. So of the $4 million, was directed to Inform Barnes and Thornburg, which is the law firm that prepares the plans, verifies and looks at the buckets. It was asked for a modification. So they have did so, and they have a new plan for your consideration as of today's date, February 7th of 2022. The bucket still remains. So responding to COVID public health emergency is one of those buckets. There's no money at this point allocated for that. Responding to the negative economic impacts of COVID-19, at this point there's no money that's put in that particular bucket. Premium paid to eligible workers, which would be the county employees, there's $300,000 that is allocated to that provision. The auditor's office has done extensive work as far as looking at the employees' eligibility and doing that. That needs to be kind of verified, but they have put a lot of time on that with the idea, in general, full-time employees in Owen County would receive a premium pay of $2,000, part-time $1,000, subject to any limitations. One thing that's been clear, and this is statewide, it has nothing to do with just the county, elected officials do not qualify. They are not allowed to do that. There's no real provision for that. So that is in the works and is proceeding actually very well. For provision for government services to the extent of reduction in revenue, this plan puts $3,619,962 in it. So basically, the remainder minus administrative costs for monitoring the plan, all of that money would go into that bucket. Primarily, that would be looking at roads and bridges would be the primary area. There's also another bucket, the fifth bucket is for water, sewer, broadband infrastructure and development. Under this particular plan, there would be nothing allocated under that area. So $300,000 for the premium pay for the county employees, $3,600,000 rounded for the infrastructure. $30,000 is allocated for administrative expenses for the year, and that was anticipated with that firm. So those would be the areas. Now, how this works, if you approve this plan, that's the parameters, that's the guideline. It does not work that $3 million today goes to streets and bridges. It would be incumbent upon then, at that point, to consider it. The highway superintendent would be coming in, presenting to you proposals on how to use a portion, majority, all, whatever that would be. You would make a decision, in essence, yay or nay. So if it's okay, just for hypothetical purposes, let's just say this Bridge 1 is brought in, and the Bridge 1 is $100,000, and that's what is being requested. You as commissioners, if you approve this plan, would make a decision on whether or not to approve that the highway superintendent is asking for $100,000 for Bridge 1. Upon your approval of the plan, this then would go to the county council. They're the ones that actually make the appropriation. So then what would happen sequence-wise is that the county council would listen to the highway superintendent's proposal for Bridge 1 for $100,000. They would vote yay or nay. Say hypothetically 4 votes, yay, then that appropriation is put under this fund. So the fund that now has roughly $2 million, there would be an appropriation line for that project. That would be then the essence to go ahead. Now, it would have to be bid and all that, but we don't have to discuss that. We're just talking about the ARP. But that's the parameters that would go. This plan can be amended. So after today, if you vote, not that I would suggest it, but I'll just be candid. It said, well, I want to make a change on the 21st. Theoretically, yes. I mean, it can be amended. The only time that there's be a point that it can no longer be amended or changed is one, all the money is spent, or the time period with roughly 2026 horizon. Those are the finality. So there's nothing final today, but this is the plan. So if you do approve this plan today, that would be the bucket. So if anyone came to you in these areas, which at this point would just be the provision for government services and reduction of revenue, they could present proposals to you to consider. You would give either, say yes or no, they go to the county council. And then once they approve it, then that plan, that portion is in effect. Once that money is spent, then it obviously reduces the $4 million, but there would have to be an appropriation for every dollar that's been spent out of this fund. So that's what you have today. The key pages would be on here, would be pages 2, which just shows you the amount of money and the time period, and then page 4 is a summary of proposed uses of the fund, and then 5 through 9 is just more detailed, just breaks out each one.
And we're to receive a plan from any and all an actual plan for the money to be spent, just as the highway has to present us with a road plan with X amount of dollars. I want to make that clear to everyone.
Oh, absolutely. So this would not be.
So we're not spending any money today, tomorrow, or next week.
No.
We have to have plans presented to us.
Right. The only thing that would be is that it's already been approved and appropriated as far as the premium pay, so that is being engaged
Right.
on. But not a single dollar of that has been spent yet either.
Exactly.
There's no money being spent.
And in my understanding, anything that's not spent, and let's say Greg comes to us with a plan for 2,500,000, and that's the best we can come up with, we take the remainder of that money and move it into another bucket.
You would amend the plan.
Yep.
Put it to a different bucket, and then at that point, those type of proposals would be presented to you.
Okay. So I'm gonna, don't normally do this, but we have a lot of people here this morning. Morning meetings are not open for public discussion, but I'm going to allow that this morning for a little bit. Chris, you're here with your people. Do you have a proposed plan, other than we want $250,000 for sewer? Do you have a engineering plan to present to us?
We do not have an engineering plan.
With a cost, okay. And what I'm trying to get at here, Chris, is we want growth in Owen County. We have all kinds of problems in Owen County. We know that we've been fighting a disaster when it comes to finances in this county. The highway department's took a huge hit. We've got bridges closed that affects 22,000 people. So I don't want anybody to think that we're not gonna take this money and use it for other avenues, but the plan that he's gonna put together will decide where the rest of the money goes. And I could tell you right now, we're not gonna spend $300,000 on premium pay for our employees, because it doesn't include the sheriff, the judges, the elected officials, any contract people that are under grants. So there's probably gonna be $150,000 of that money left that we can move. So if anybody's been misled about any of this stuff, I wanna try to correct it right now before we go any further. There's gonna be funds available. We want people to come back to us with plans, but we think that the highway plan is the biggest and most important plan to the community in the county at this point.
I just think, county and highways, the highways, bridges are very important, obviously. Yes, we're putting the plan together. I'm confused on what was the urgency to get that appropriated to that.
Because we have bridges closed in the county. We have several bridges that are, load limits have been lowered because of the condition of the bridges.
Right.
The highway superintendent is sitting right here with us. Greg, I have a sheet here if you want to, just kind of, and again, we haven't spent any money. He hasn't put a plan together yet.
No.
We were working on that.
So right there's a good point. One, your question, Chris, was exactly this. But you don't have a plan from them either.
We're working on it,
So
yeah.
are we. So that's my problem, right? You purposely went and said that with the design to underline. So you also don't have a plan. Now, the other money that you had put over there has the ability to be matched with grants. So you threw away free money potentially with that. For every dollar spent, you could add another dollar, potentially. right? And you just said it hasn't been spent, so it could have sat there until you had a plan, or until another plan came to you. But it almost seems too convenient on your timing of how you chose to go about that. So the money of $4 million plus could have just as easily sat there. You could have started with the other half, waited to see if this money has the ability to be matched, which is free money, which also then provides other things that generate more taxable revenue.
Where's your match come from?
There's additional grants that have come from both your conversations with RDC and Chamber, from your committees. So I can get you the exact names for that, and we can have a conversation about that too. But the other monies haven't had a plan apparently tied to them, and that's what we're asking about. So you came out from immediately with that.
I didn't come after Chris at all. I just asked him a question.
Right, but it was done antagonistic with, do you have a plan, or are you just asking for a report?
Does anybody out here, Janet sent an email out, she wants to do some, excuse me, you told me that you want, nonprofit, correct?
Many counties have allocated between 3 and 15% of their ARPA funds to their community.
And I'm gonna ask you, do you have a plan?
I do, actually.
Okay, but you haven't presented it yet, correct? Okay, so you're not the only one that I've asked that has a plan. Go ahead, Chris.
So I came to these RDC meetings and listened to this and listened to that, and I've spoke with you before about this, right? So on a Friday, this bid comes open for this piece of property out on 43, and we end up winning that bid. Property is not purchased, it's not closed on. I call you Monday morning about that, and your only response to me is, because the other guy in the bid was Tom Weininger, you know this, I know this, and your response to me was, that's okay, you won the bid, I'm gonna have Tom develop the county property down further, I'm gonna run this, don't shake your head no.
I didn't say, I can't have Tom develop, I can't, that's wrong. I said Tom looked at it, but it has to go out to bid.
Then the second conversation, the second part of that was, I hope you understand you're not getting any of that ARPA money because it's going to all roads and bridges. This was even before the meeting. So, you brought this to me this morning, you're the one that asked me. I don't understand why a group of Owen County people that went out there and won that bid is now gonna have so much trouble from you.
They're not gonna have trouble from me at all. And if you,
Come at me this morning, but I'm not.
Chris, I'm willing to give you guys $500,000 out of redevelopment. You've been to those meetings.
Who's me?
The committee is.
Okay, not you.
No, the committee. But I sit on that committee, and you know that. And you sat back in the corner that day and said you couldn't wait 6 months when it was discussed. And I agreed, and we talked right after that. And I told you, I agree with you 100%. I think that we should give all.
So why the change of heart after we won it?
There is no change of heart.
It was a complete 180.
I've been trying to spend that
phone.
Well, gentlemen, let me talk a little bit here too, please, and stuff. Chris, I don't want you to have any hard feelings. Gary, let's both sit down, stop bucking heads and be gentlemen. Let's be men about this and stuff. I think we've all got some hard feelings. Ma'am, Marcy, you have something to say?
Yeah, I'll just take a couple minutes. I mean, the question was, does anyone have a plan? And the county does have a plan. The county has passed a quality of place plan, and it has passed an economic development strategy plan within the 2 years. Those plans have both been presented. Those plans have both been presented to the county council and to the county commissioners, and both of those plans have received full votes and support. Those plans are in place for the development of Owen County, and those plans do define new construction and water and sewer infrastructure projects. So there is one plan, actually there's 2 plans, that's been completely approved by the county officials that could be used for ARPA funds.
Well, you say been approved by things. I've not seen these. I mean, I'm sorry now.
They actually have gone before for a vote. They had to officially gone before county commissioners and county council in order to even be accepted by the state of Indiana.
Okay, well, like I said, I've not seen the hard form or whatever you want to say on the paperwork and stuff. Maybe this is my own ignorance. I'm 1 year into this and stuff. I'm trying to learn, trying to see what's going on. Sir,
Hello, gentlemen. I'm Todd. I'm with BVP Water Corp.
Okay.
We did put our information into the county plan that came out in front of you guys. It was approved. This money was come from Arpa to be getting money put aside to get some projects started. Money put into water, wastewater, things like that will build this community. We have Lane's Addition down here. The water company's been trying for 25 years to get water down to. I fill this room with people just from down there that are like, hey, we got contaminated wells. We've been trying forever to get water down here. We are the water company for Owen County. We've reached all over Owen County trying to get water. This is a prime opportunity. You know, we've got developments that are looking to take hold. We got Cook bought property. We got other people. You know, we need assistance too. I understand roads and bridges are important, but to totally take the whole bucket away and say, no, we're not even gonna look at this, it's just ludicrous. You're losing so much money. You guys have the ability. BEP has already said in multiple meetings, we'll match the funds. So if we get $1 million, we'll put $1 million with it, that's $2 million. You get other people out here that are willing to put money with it, ROI and different people. You could have $3-4 million going with $1 million investment. It's just, to me, it's just crazy that you're not considering anything else. You're just being narrow minded and going, we need roads and bridges. Yes, we do. I agree with that 100%. But there's also other things in this county that's been needed for a long time. And I got 4 or 5 letters right here from people in Lane's Addition. And we may even have some people here from Lane's Addition. You know, we've been trying to do these projects forever. It's not something, hey, we're here, we're trying to get this money now. We've been trying for 25 plus years. So I'm just asking you to think about that before you just go check the box and say, let's just throw it all over there.
Okay, thank you. Sam?
Yeah, hey, I just want to remind everybody, and I'm getting kind of old, maybe a little loose-minded, but I want to remind the commissioners of something. And no hard feelings by any means, but I've had numerous conversations over the last 6 months about this Arpa money, and the commissioners told us, you 3 commissioners, first of all, you did approve her plan. It wasn't a commissioners meeting. It was presented twice, so it has been approved. But here's the part that bothers me. Last year, in 3 separate meetings, the commissioners brought up the fact that there wasn't gonna be in no hurry to spend the money. I remember that. And don't get me wrong, I've had conversations with Greg Melton, long, serious conversations about bridges and roads, I understand that. But you commissioners, you 3 sitting up there, guaranteed all the business owners, you guaranteed the department heads, elected officials, and everybody, every power to be, before you spent that money, you'd sit down with the group as a whole, or however you need to do it, and see what was on the horizon for everybody. I personally myself asked this from you commissioners in the meeting, don't know when it was, you know, this COVID thing or whatever, and I said, you know, we need to probably set back at least $100,000 for future PPE. If you think the COVID thing's the only thing that's coming to Owen County, you're sadly mistaken. Where other things could happen. But you commissioners guaranteed us last year, you gave your word, and you're only good as your word is, that you meet with everybody and see what was on the horizon. Or if the department or needed something. I totally know the bridges and roads need fixed. I travel them every week. EMS travels, and you know, my guys travel, and we understand that. One thing that I do understand, and I'm not wrong, I know that Cooks, I know that Mike Sudo, I know that these 3 gentlemen here, Kevin Frank, Bill Abrams, and Chris Ball, and I think there's another one, are invested in this community. If you think this county is gonna survive off the tax base we have now, you're sadly mistaken. We need homes that people can purchase, to pay taxes, to spend their money here. Marcy's been dealing with this and this, Janet, I'm sorry, I'm sure it's your name, for a long, long time. They do a great job. But folks, if we don't spend money on building homes and infrastructure to make this county grow, whatever settlements you get in May, whatever you get in December is all you're going to get. You're never going to survive. We're never going to grow. So I asked the commissioners to hold true to the word that you told us 3 times last year. Table this, call a special meeting, we'll get together, have it out here in the rotunda or up in maybe the judge's courtroom where we can all come together and talk. We can all come together with a plan that I need $500 for something or whatever. And Chris and his team and stuff, Marcy's plan, that's already been approved, and the gentleman, I can't remember nobody. Tom? Oh, I'm close. They've got that, they've already done their homework. So that plan's already been passed. I just asked you guys to table it until we can all meet and sit down as one and talk about the plans of this county wholeheartedly. If anybody disapproves of what I say, please, you know, I'm just one voice, but I'm a taxpayer too. You know, pay a lot of taxes. And I travel all the roads, and the roads are bad, and bridges are bad, but you gave us your word, you'd meet with us. Hold true to your word.
Sam, and you're right. We need growth in this county. We all know that. We have to raise our tax base. I've said it in these meetings, I don't know how many times. If we don't get it, we're sinking. We're literally spending more than we're bringing in revenue wise. It's not because we want to, it's because it's a cost of doing business. Now, again, if we signed this plan today, we've not spent a dime. We've not spent a penny. And I just said that all this money can be moved around. And again, if Greg brings in a plan that's $2 million for what he thinks needs to be done, that leaves $1.7 million to move to other locations. We've approved a comprehensive plan, but no one, not even our highway department, has come to this commission with an ARPA fund plan for it to be approved by the commissioners to move on to the council. None of that has happened.
But the misdiagnosis, Gary, that was laid out, here comes the hurt. That's right, if I'm wrong, is in December. You 3 commissioners, all 3 of you, approved to set aside $300,000 for the employees. You set aside $250,000 for infrastructure. You gave your word. You voted on it. Then in January, you took it back. You're only good as your word. I have to keep my word. I took an oath to it. I screw up once in a while, usually about once a day. But the fact of it is, guys, you gave your word. Then you come back and you say you're gonna take $3.7 million and give it to bridges and roads. Nothing against Greg Mountain. Like I said, we've had numerous conversations. Things need to be fixed. Don't go back on your word. Hold true to what you already said you was going to do. Yes, you haven't spent anything, but hold true to the word that you gave the people. These are taxpayers here in front of you. Hold true to the word that you gave.
Those were preliminary discussions, if I'm not mistaken, Jim. We had not voted on a plan. We haven't voted on this plan. Am I correct?
There's been absolutely no vote on this plan. I have to look at the minutes, but I do.
That was preliminary.
I thought there was a vote on an ARP payment plan that they had prepared.
There was, right? There was.
Okay.
So that was voted on.
I got a question. If there's no hurry and the money can be moved from bucket to bucket, then why are we in such a hurry to throw $4 million into roads and bridges? Why don't we say, hey, let's go ahead and put $2 million into roads and bridges. Let's put 300,000 here. Let's put a few $100,000 here. Let's put $1 million there. And then when we get closer and people start putting their plans in, we don't feel like we're trapped inside of a box. Where if you turn around and you put it out there, if we can't come up with a solid plan, if Chris Ball can't come up with a solid plan, nobody can come up with a solid plan, you can still move that money back to roads and bridges. But at least you're not taking everybody and going, you know what? You don't matter because we're gonna take everything and put it here. And if you do that now, you're virtually telling everybody in the community, we don't care, we're going this way. So you can come back to your plans, maybe we'll throw you a scrap. You know, you can always move things around, but why do that in the front hand? Why turn around and put everybody in a mousetrap before you can start? But Richard Lorenz has been working on these properties. He's been working on trying to get housing for Owen County for years.
If we'd have stepped up 2 years ago, Owen Camp could have been done. We could have 300 or 400 homes on the tax docket right now. If we don't step up now, we're gonna be here another 3 years going, man, we missed the bucket again. And we still don't have money, and our schools are still suffering. You know, put some money out there and don't put us in a trap to begin with. And that's exactly what you're doing if you put all 4 million in one bucket.
Go ahead, Greg.
Excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, we should blame the highway department in regard to the $3.7 million that's been moved or attempted to be moved to us. Commissioners have problems in regard to that. I know folks aren't happy here, but I will tell you, Pittsburgh is a perfect example in the road and bridges when a bus falls over a bridge. I have been harping, not since these meetings, people, since 2019, my bridges aren't sufficient. One of these days, one of these big yellow buses that haul your children are gonna fall through one of them. Now, I do have a plan because I've been working on it since 2019. I have the engineering plans in my hand right now. And commissioners, I intend to ask you for $629,000 or $620,000 a day for bridges. Fracture critical bridges that school buses cross. One I have closed. I don't want anybody to think there's been no plans together because I've been working on this since 19. Guys, I live in this same community. Make it grow. I'll work with you, but I am, and I intend to ask for money for the bridges because that is my responsibility. I want water, Chris and I mean, we've talked about things. I mean, I assume that some of these housing subdivisions gonna go in, you're gonna want the highway department to take over. So let's sit down and take some standards so we've got good housing and good roads so we can go further. But that's the plans that you guys need to come up with. Love to work with you on some of those and some of these developments so we can make them right. But these guys know that I have been working on bridge plans, trying to get them to build bridges since 2019. And I got a plan here today that I'm gonna present in regard to that. I am gonna ask them for $620,000 to build 4 bridges.
And nobody's taking away from
No, I don't think, I just want you to know.
I know.
But I want you to know my position from the highway department, guys, I'm gonna ask for today, but the rest of the money, it's gonna be the commissioner's decision.
But also, Indiana is getting over $8 billion from the federal government because of the new infrastructure bill. And it's between a 30 to 50% increase, and the state has already said that a good portion of that extra money is going to localities. So,
You're absolutely correct, and I will be in line to get some of that money, but right now I've got 4 bridges that I need to build. So, and I've got plans to build them, so I'm gonna ask for part of this money to build those bridges.
of course, I'm just saying,
And we haven't seen that money yet either.
But no, but I am gonna be in line because I wanna tell you, since I've been in the highway department, I've got over $2.5 million in grants. I write them, I look for the money. So I'm gonna look for every dime I can get for this further discussion.
And Greg, if I could, I think everyone in here would probably say you have done a tremendous job in the highway department. Excellent job in Pierce County. That is a job that you are never going to be able to complete. You always have roads and bridges to repair. So that means you're always going to need money.
Yes.
This is simply just a suggestion that if we take some of the funding, not all of it, just some of it, that we could create a source of revenue that we could continue to improve our roads and bridges as a county.
I asked him, I just told him what asking for all of it. That's
Here,
all I believe they asked for.
Hang on.
So everybody
This is
does
my
the
money.
thing. I do have a plan.
Hey, Greg, just real quick, you wanna touch on some of these right here? And then we're gonna shut public discussion down and we're gonna take it to a vote. That's the letter that you put out for economic development, just letting the public know some of the bridges and the roads. And again, I'm not here defending any one particular group.
Oh, okay. Guys, this is for the public, if anybody wants to see it. Commissioners asked me for a list of my bridges. In 2020, Highway Department recorded 211 concrete structures. A concrete structure is what we call concrete structures, are anything from 19 feet down to 3 feet, I believe. Yes. Most of those were built in 1932, probably goes back to WPA time. They have served us well for over 90 years. They are failing, they fail daily. And at this time, at 211, we are down to 201 now because the highway department has replaced as we can out of our own funds. I have 112 bridges in my inventory. 26 of these bridges are work weight, 1 bridge is closed, and I have 8 fracture critical bridges requiring immediate attention. And guys, this comes from an engineering firm that the county contracts with, United Consulting. That's not something I started and developed myself. It's required to do federally. So bridges are inspected every 2 years. Fracture critical bridges are inspected every year. Since I have been at the highway department, we've received $2,552,287.22 in grants money, plus another $8,000 in grants for safety for my people. So I work at it, guys. I'm just like all of you. I'm gonna try to get my this pie, but I don't mind that the rest of you try. I just don't want the highway department to take it on the chin with this. I'm gonna introduce the bridges. What the commissioners do, what the commissioners do. Thank you. And I'm not angry, I'm just telling you because if there is infrastructure money that I can get, I'm gonna be in line, and I'm gonna try to get every bit of it I can get.
All right, this time we're gonna close public comment and bring it to a vote. Do I hear any motion on the plan at this time? With no motion, is there a motion to table?
I make a motion, we table this and hold a special meeting sometime in, what, March or April? How long will that take before we have one? That we gather the public and everybody else?
Well, you'd want your 10 days notice, Commissioner, so the paper needs 10 days on there, so this is February. I mean, you could pick a date, but you just want to have enough time to have a notice out. You want to give the auditor at least 10 days for her notification, and then it needs 10 days from the day it's published.
I'd say late March, early April, Bob, and the reason I say that, again, we're in no hurry to spend anything. We got plans to put together.
It would be all right for April.
Well, we've got public hearing for the jail coming up.
Yeah.
So that's a big discussion in our March 7th meeting. There's quite a bit on the agenda. So let's plan on sometime the 1st of April, the week of our meeting, which looks like the 4th, so maybe the 6th on a Wednesday.
That's all right with you, Madam Auditor?
Got plenty of time to advertise, and I'll second that motion. All in favor? Aye. Thank you all. All right, next on the agenda, EMA, Jack.
You guys like to address the emergency declaration at this time or later on in the agenda?
We can do that now, I think, while we're here.
If you don't mind, there was an emergency declaration, 2022-01, 2022-02 that had been passed. Now, just a little bit of background how this worked. Specifically, it's the Indiana Code 10-14-329 series. There's a 29 and a 29.5. In the event that there's an emergency, and by definition, basically a snow emergency or an ice emergency meets the definition. The chief executive, in this case, Mr. Burton, has the authority by law to issue an emergency declaration. And with that emergency declaration, travel advisories. There's basically 3 types. 1 is just be careful. 2 is only essential travel to and from work, that type of thing. And the 3rd one, sometimes it's called red. It's the most severe where there's to be no cars except for emergency vehicles, on the road. Those were declared, and at this time, they can run from 7 days, so they have not expired upon their own. So if the belief is that the roads are in good enough shape, you could terminate the emergency declaration. Now, 2022-01 has already been terminated. That was done by 2022-02. So this would be, if you so desire, it would be a motion to be made to terminate 2022-02, and then whatever type of travel advisory that you would like to remain in effect, as long as it's not red or the most one, you can inform the emergency director if you still want that to be in yellow, or is it white, is it different colors?
Yellow is the next step down, we're in orange right now, yellow is the next step down, white is normal condition.
Yeah, so if you want to use the yellow or white, either one of those could be, and you do not have to have a declaration for that. That can be just done right here in the meeting.
I think yellow's probably where we need to be. I'm gonna ask Jack, Sam, Greg.
Yeah, I agree.
I checked with Chris, Greg, and Sam last night, and they all agreed this morning, if you guys were sending this watch declaration, we'll go to yellow.
I think that's.
I think my brother at school agrees too.
Yeah, we
And
got
then
the
at that
school shut
point, it'll
down
be
right
up to
now.
you to put it back to normal travel. I'll make a motion that we go ahead and rescind back to yellow at this time. Do I hear that?
Second.
And it would be officially terminating Declaration 2022-02.
Okay. Make a motion to officially, what was the motion?
Terminate, it's emergency declaration 2022-002.
2022-002. To eliminate declaration 2022-002. I made that motion myself. It was seconded by Bob. All in favor? Aye. And to return to yellow.
Is there a document required with this, or?
No, that can be done and it's terminated in the notification.
So we got our travel status back to yellow then.
The next item is the grant for the emergency management vehicle.
Jack, did you come up with another vehicle, apparently the one that we were looking at sold, and you found a V8, or is it in this package that I have, or?
Yes, it's, what I provided you is, 3 prices on 2-door cabs, 3 prices on 4-door cabs. Kelly Chevrolet, said that there's one more vehicle that's going to be made, I think the production date's the 14th, and it's probably the last vehicle they can, 4-door vehicle they can get their hands on.
You have copies of that? I don't have it.
Email
Don't
them.
think I have
They
a copy on that.
These if you want.
So has Kelly still got the best price on this, Jack?
Yes,
I'm just trying to flip through here.
That was at 36 something, wasn't it?
yes.
What I recall. On this one here, I don't.
So, gentlemen,
That's
just
not the
to
right document.
be clear, the quotes that came in, there's 3 quotes for 4-door cabs, and then there's 3 quotes that each way, but it was for 2-door cabs. At the previous meeting, the 4x4, and the lowest quote was $36,140, and that was what I'm just calling the 4-door. Now, you had requested Mr. White to go back and look at a vehicle that I just put just references as a 2-door quote. There's Kelly Automotive Group that has this quote, it has a number of vehicles, that's what they had available. Then Andy Moore from Plainfield submitted a quote in that category, and so did Community Auto Group out of Bloomington. The amounts look like the lowest quote that I could find on the price range was $21,445. That was identified as on this sheet M1145 LV3, 6 miles on it, and it's 2021. It's quoted at $21,445. Andy Moore quoted for $39,905, and then the Community Auto Group, their quote was $37,362.25. That's in the quote group you asked. Mr. White has also still submitted the original 3 quotes for a different type of vehicle. So there's 2 different vehicles that you have quotes for. 3 for one classification of vehicles, 3 quotes for a different classification of vehicles.
If I can correct your statement there, I didn't submit the exact same quotes for the 4-door vehicles. One of those vehicles had been sold.
Okay.
I did supply a new quote for a 4-door
Okay.
from Kelly Chevrolet.
Okay.
That's the cheapest one of the 4-doors.
It was 36,140.
Yes.
And that one is on hold available, right?
It is yet to be manufactured, but yes, they said they would hold it for us.
And that was a V8,
It is a V8.
unlike the other one was a 4-cylinder.
Correct. This is a V8 tow package, everything that, it checks all the boxes.
And this 4,000 under your grant.
Yeah,
Jim, what's our obligation with this grant money? Do we still need the lowest possible bid, or as long as we stay within the grant money?
No, two separate things. The grant allows you the parameters of how much money can be spent. That has nothing to do with the quotes. But I do want to make sure, in case I could be the one to clear, it looks like there's 2 separate classifications of vehicles being quoted here. So the first determination would be which classification are you reviewing the quotes on, but there's still the requirement of the lowest amount is to be selected. If it's not, there must be some articulable reasons why a higher priced vehicle was selected.
Jim, on this, so what you're saying, if we look at 4 doors only, then we go with the lowest bid? Is that what you're saying?
Right, you quote, the quotes have been for 2 separate classifications of
Right.
vehicles. So, like with we're not here just saying, what's the lowest car price? I know it sounds kind of absurd, well, that could be $500 for a used car, so it's by classification. So you have 3 quotes for a particular classification of vehicle, they're in the same line and class. Then you have 3 other quotes. Now, these are lower, but they're for a different type of classification of vehicle. You would be making a determination of which classification of vehicle you're choosing, that it still must be the lowest responsible and responsive bidder.
So we make a motion for the four-wheel V8 4-door.
If the 4 doors, what you think that it needs to be?
That's what Jack wants. He's and he's worked hard for this and stuff. I make a motion, we go with the 4-door for Jack.
I'll second that.
We've got a motion by Bob, a second by Dale. All in favor? Aye.
Gentlemen, just so for clarification, I did talk to them, let's step behind. You made a decision to choose the classification of the 4-door. You are choosing the lowest quote from Kelly Chevrolet, is that correct?
Yes.
$36,140.
Okay, so just for the auditor, for her minutes and records, there were quotes that were received from Community Ford for the similar vehicle 4-door, that was for $37,955.25. And there was a quote from Andy Moore Ford out of Plainfield, also for 2022, and that quote was for $46,620. So you're selecting the lowest quote, and you've already adopted that. There was a request for 2-door quotes for a different type of classification vehicle. Is there a rejection then of all 3 of those quotes?
Yes.
Okay, a motion might be the best here, just making a motion that you're rejecting all quotes for the 2-door.
Did I hear a motion to reject all the 2-door quotes?
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second? Have a motion by Bob, second by Dale. All in favor? Aye.
you guys have anything else for me? I'm gonna leave and go change the map then. We've got some
Thank you, Jack.
school kids wanting to do gymnastics.
Yeah, Sam, we know you want his truck.
Yeah, that's where I'm going next. Will I still be able to get in a truck because
It does
I don't have to
not,
buy it, no.
unless other departments put in for it, and then we'll have a discussion about
It has
that.
to be declared surplus, it has to be offered to every department.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry,
okay,
Sam.
no, you're fine. So it has to be offered as surplus.
And at that point, any division of the county can apply for it.
Then unions will have to decide who's gonna get the truck.
Right.
And the reason of it is the brown truck goes for sale, we're getting ready to straight that down, so we're gonna be out of truck. I don't know how soon this truck is coming in, you got any idea, it's got 3 months, 2 months?
There's a lot of working pieces here, it's gonna need a few months, I'd say.
Okay.
Can I hang on to the
Send an email out to
Yeah,
them.
oh, yeah, sure,
We gotta put a
that's it.
surplus ordinance together on it.
Commissioners, just throw a wrench in that, it took 6 months for ours to come in, and we weren't in the crunch we were in now when it was ordered.
Right.
It was on state.
Well, that 1-2 trucks took a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
Jim can work on putting that together. I mean, obviously, it's not a big hurry, but we can at least have it ready for when that time comes. Okay, Intertech contract. Jim, you've looked over this contract.
This is on the Intertech agreement, it's a pest control agreement, this is a company you've used before, this is a professional services contract. Just very briefly to go there, this would service 9 different areas for the county: courthouse, jail, EMS, communications, sheriff's office, extension office, armory, highway department, health emergency management, and the probation office. It has an annual cost of $120. If it's paid all at once, if you do so approve it, the county can net a savings of $367.20. So the total cost, if it's prepaid all at once, is $5,752.82. There were no terms that were unusual or surprising on here. It lasts for 1 year. It is a company you have used before, so this is in essence like a renewal, so it would be up to you if you want to go ahead and renew this. This basically gets rid of cockroaches, rats, and mice, and any other occasional invader.
On the extension office there, Jim, would the coroner's office be included behind there?
The coroner's office is not on this contract now.
Should be, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you want that area serviced, but it is not one of the locations on here. Looking at their prices and everything, I would estimate that would probably increase the cost to about $30, would be most likely.
And we need to have them do that, so probably ought to table this contract until we have that amended by Intertech.
If Intertech would do it, yeah, but it is not on there. I do believe, by my memory, I could be wrong, I think that was one of the issues from a year ago, that certain areas were not on.
Correct.
Here, and they were billing them individually, and the county didn't get the bonus.
Right.
Okay.
So we'll take a vote on it here in a minute. Before we move forward, I want to ask our departments, are they doing a good job for you? Is everything going as planned and no issues?
They do a good job.
Okay. I'm assuming that they did, but again, your guys are dealing with it day to day, so we need to make sure that you're getting what we're paying for. I'm gonna make a motion that we table this contract at this time to add the coroner's office. And if anybody sees anything else on there that needs to be added, please speak up now so we can have Intertech add that to the contract.
What about our storage buildings?
Probably wouldn't hurt. That would be an external, not an internal, because they're all locked up, but we can add that as well.
They cover the one that we're in already.
In the sheriff's office? Yeah, we'll.
There they cover it, but the other 4 is not covered.
So have you got a note on that, Sheila? Okay. Make a motion to table, the Intertech contract. Do I hear a second?
Great.
I'll second that.
I made the motion, Bob seconded it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So give that back to you. 911 dispatch.
EMS.
EMS, I'm sorry, Chris.
Morning, gentlemen. I promise not to be very painful at all. If you recall, we asked for permission from you guys. We went to the council, we got an additional appropriation, had a cash balance for $50,000 to purchase a Tahoe. That Tahoe's been purchased. Within that $50,000, I had estimated what it was gonna cost to upfit it with lights and siren, et cetera. So we've got Tahoe. I requested quotes a while back from 3 different companies. The order that they are in your packet is the order that they came in. As far as time-wise, chronologically, came in. Today, I'm looking to get approval to go ahead and
And this was well within the $50,000 appropriation.
yeah, this will be within the 50,000.
Looks like it'll put you, what, about 40 or somewhere thereabouts, 46?
Around 46.
Yeah. Guys got any questions on any of this? If you remember, sometime back, we approved 50,000, which came out of Chris's own budget. The Tahoe was purchased for 37 and some change, which was actually on the claims today. This is to outfit it with lights,
Lights and sirens.
Does not include decaling.
No, that's
Another
another
quote.
company, but it'll be under, historically, that runs around $2,600, so.
I'm sure you're gonna stay within your $50,000.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And also we've got
Save money.
3 different quotes here, and every one of them is different. Which one is the better?
Well, they are all,
Equally?
quoting the same equipment.
Okay,
And it looks like JTN Services out of Greencastle has the lowest quote.
yeah.
This is a company you used in the past too, isn't it?
We've used them, I believe the sheriff uses them. They're pretty local, you know, outside the county, but they're pretty close. Sometimes it's hard to find people to do this work, you know, so we've got one from Columbus, Indiana, and one from Noblesville. So,
Just so we have this clear record, the JTN quote out of Greencastle is for $9,960.76. The quote from American Eagle Equipment, which is located out of Noblesville, Indiana, is for $10,503.45. And then the quote from Signature Public Safety, located out of Columbus, Indiana, for $11,282.88.
All right. The low bid is $9,960.76. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the quote from JTN Service Incorporated.
I have a motion to approve JTN Services. Do I hear a second? Got a second by Dale. All in favor?
Aye.
just an update, we fared the snow pretty well. Luckily, we were really slow, going into the snow, which was awesome, gave the county highway a chance to get ahead of the roads or get working on the roads. And then, that evening, we kind of got busy. I did bring in a third ambulance that day. Our turnaround times from time of dispatch till we were back in service are normally an hour and a half from the time we get dispatched till we get the patient, take them to the hospital and get back. That day, we were running a little over 2 hours, so, just because we were having to run so slow. We were having problems keeping trucks in service after the snow, getting them back in service in time for the next run and everything, so I did have another crew come in that day. And, so there'll be some overtime there, but we came out unscathed on the snow emergency.
Good.
Other than
No vehicles damaged off the road or any of that good stuff.
Absolutely not. So-
No cracked heads, slip and falls.
No injuries, no damage
That's
to
great.
the vehicles, just, like I said, a little bit of overtime and we'll take that. All right, you guys have anything for me?
I think we're good, Chris.
It's okay, I'm gonna go finish up payroll then.
All right. Have a good day.
Good luck.
Kathleen, 911.
Morning.
Morning.
I'm gonna echo what Chris just said. Snow event seemed to have went as good as it could be expected. I think the citizens heeded the advice of everything that has been pushed out here recently. This was not an unexpected snowfall, so people stayed home. I believe they stayed out of the way of county highway for them to be able to do what they needed to do. I have not pulled specific numbers, but our call volumes were a lot lower than they typically are during a snow event or even just a normal functioning day within the dispatch center. So we have that. Staffing with the center, as you guys know, I am short 2 people and then I have 1 gone on military leave. I did do an offer of employment to a female this weekend and she did accept and she will be starting on the 14th. So that will take me to just 1 short. However, we're gonna have to kind of get her trained and everything before we're gonna be able to possibly bring in that next person depending on where she ends up going on shift. CAD server. CAD server move did not occur. I'm gonna give you guys just a timeline of some things that occurred with the whole CAD server move. As you guys know, we've been trying for a while to get this done. Training CAD was moved at the end of December. Was not able to get that up and functioning. Connections from within dispatch to work until after the 1st of January. I had a conference call with 4th phase on January 10th and had the discussion of all of the items that needed to be accounted for prior to us moving production. That was making sure that jail was able to communicate with the training server, and then Spencer Police Department and all sheriff's MDTs were able to communicate with the training server. And then also our IDOCS connection. During that conversation, they said they were clear, they were aware of it. We set the date to move production server to January 24th or 26th. We ended up attempting on January 26th. Production server was not moved because 4th phase did not have the connection from jail to training server started or attempted until that morning. I'm just gonna be blunt. I feel like they dropped the ball on that because they had from the 10th to the 24th to be at the jail and try to get that connection working. Today, that connection still is not working.
Have they been back to work on it since then?
Mike has been at the jail. I've been out sick, unfortunately. Today is my first day back after being in quarantine. But I have been involved in the emails back and forth between between Zerker, which is now Central Square, and Fourth Phase and everything. And the last I knew was on the 26th, Mike was doing a remote session with Central Square to try to figure out the connections and what was going on. Central Square said that everything was set up on their end, all parameters were correct, but Fourth Phase still couldn't access the training server from the jail into the dispatch center. And I don't know where we sat today. I know I received an email last week from Jim Doring asking what the status was, and I sent him the copies of the emails from Mike and also Mark from Central Square and everything, and then I'm guessing snowfall came and everything kind of come to a stop with it. So I've not been able to reach out to them yet this morning. So we're still, from what I know of, we are still sitting in a situation where no exterior departments are able to talk to training server except dispatch. And that is not acceptable, because if the jail cannot communicate with the training server when we move production, that means they won't be able to communicate with production. And they have to be able to communicate with trainer, because they're in the same boat that we are in, that whenever we take production down, we have to have something available to us to be able to input runs. And also they have to have access to all of their inmate records, which all of that will be in training server. So
I'll follow up on that for you today.
we can't go months with no production.
No,
It's,
and I've told you before, if we need to get another company in here, that's what we're gonna do.
yeah,
Again, I've kind of been out of that loop for a little bit, you've kind of been dealing with it. I'll make that call today. If they can't handle it, we'll find somebody that can.
yeah.
That's simple.
So I was gonna do a follow-up whenever I get back into the office.
I'll take care of that for you.
So,
We'll let you rest.
I believe that's about all. With the snow that came in, you know, we're still waiting on radio climbers to be able to build a new tower. You can't do it when there's ice and several inches of snow. It's not safe for them to climb, so we're just still waiting on a possible projected date for that. I see that possibly being March, April now, into March, 1st of April now, just since we're into the 1st of February. I do not believe I have anything else for you guys at this moment. Do you have anything for me?
Nope, I will get back with you before the end of the day to let you know what I found out.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, well, if you guys are okay, I'm gonna go to the office and, same as Chris, do payroll, because
Get
people
better.
are paid.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Guys, if I could, I failed to mention, I was wanting to, highway department's phenomenal. When we did have medical runs, they were there, right there with us, cleaning roads, getting us into the place, and I really appreciate it. It worked out great.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you for that, Chris, and thanks, Highway. We'll take time to, had a lot to deal with. We did go into red, late Thursday evening into Friday. The wind and weather conditions were just, pretty much unbearable. Greg was in touch with me throughout the event, and I tried the best I could to stay in touch with Bob. I think we did that pretty good for the most part. So again, thanks to the highway and all of our emergency services for what they did. With that being said, Sheriff's Department.
Don't have a whole lot, just on this 21st, we'll have the public hearing on the jail, hearing. On the 24th, we have our jail inspection. That's coming up from the 24th. And, I just want to acknowledge the people in the community, the county, the outstanding job for staying home or at least staying out of our way. When we was out and about, we didn't hardly see too many people. Hats off to all the emergency personnel and to Greg. I mean, Greg met several times. They did a great job. So the hats off to everybody. We didn't have hardly, I came in at 3 o'clock one morning, and first call we got was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. After 12 hours.
That's a good problem.
Yeah, it was, so, you know, it was good, nobody got hurt, we're blessed, thank the good Lord for that. That's all I got.
Okay. Highway. And Greg, we discussed this a little bit. We've got a special meeting that's scheduled for the 17th. So anything that we can push off to that point, we'll do that this morning.
Okay.
I know that we've got the bids for the bridge 16 or 116 or 16, I can't remember. 16.
Unfortunately, gentlemen, I think that with the vote today, I'm gonna have to withdraw all my bridge plans at this point. And Hume Bridge, and Jim, you probably haven't seen it yet, I have to pay for my inspections. And I've had to pay for an inspection, and I don't have my NDOT reimbursements back. So, until I get those NDOT reimbursements, and the problem is with the NDOT reimbursements, since COVID started, I've dealt with 6 different people in that same department. So auditor could attest, I'm not getting my bridge reimbursements back from the state of Indiana, and I can't tell you exactly when they are. I can tell you this is a public works project, so as long as we put the bridges off, probably from the time we start, be 120 days before we ever start a bridge.
So you don't even want to put out 116 today? I mean,
Jim, you could answer that question for me, but if I can't ask for any ARPA money to build this bridge.
You can't ask for any ARPA money, I mean, that's already been decided, so.
we're not gonna be paying for this bridge for several months. So at this point, it doesn't matter because the bill's not gonna come due. I don't know why we still can't go ahead and put it out for bid and get the process started.
Well, I will,
several months
I will
down the
get
road.
another bridge settlement in mid-year. But in regard to watching budgets and making sure things don't go in the red, I will.
So, I don't have the new cost, but as of the 31st, there was $140,000, I mean, a few more dollars than that in cumulative bridge. Do you have an idea about how many more bridge inspections that you have out of that?
I've got 2.
Okay. So commissioners, you have in 1135 right now, you have $140,000, $130.91, and that is of the 31st without these 2 inspections. It would be, if you even approve today to put it out, the first that you would be able to actually even get proposals, the sealed bids back, would be the end of March. That's why the discussion was of today. Now, at that point, there would have to be a determination made, so I'm speaking in the future. If you would award that bid, then the financial, would have to be a huge concern. As of today, all that's being done is being a request for the companies to submit a sealed bid. You have the absolute authority to reject all bids, and by statute, if there is not money by the 21st or a plan, then we couldn't proceed. But as of today, as far as just putting notice out, the very worst, and that's what I'm probably saying in public, some of the bidders may take the time to put in the bid, but there may not be the finance available, but that is kind of the cost of bid programs. The ARP is crystal clear, there's no money at all in that bucket, as of right now. That doesn't mean it couldn't change in April or whatever the commissioners decide, but as of today, there's $140,000 to build bridges. You do have an entire packet that is ready. If you approve it today, it would go out for bid on the 16th, and then that would give everyone about 5 weeks to submit their bid packets for the council, commissioners on the 21st.
Now, commissioners, if I can get my reimbursements, I am looking at about $22,000 coming back into that fund when I finally do get them.
Well, I'd like to see us go ahead and put these bids out. We can't delay this any longer. Unfortunately, we got $4 million worth of ARPA funds, not $100 million. And for some reason, there's some disillusion that we've got all this money and it costs, we got 10 bridges on our schedule that's $2.1 million. There's over half the money right there.
Well, we're supposed to be on a schedule to build 2 bridges a year, to catch up. We built one last year, and then
That was an emergency bridge.
that
waiting
was an
on it.
emergency bridge, and then in 19, we had to drop our fracture critical bridges and build 2 bridges on Vilas Road because of flood damage. 2 of them beyond repair, and they had to be closed. We built them. Commissioners are aware that we had a flood event in 19 that was devastating to the community, as well as the one we just had in 21. We applied for aid through the state to open their Homeland Security funds. We were denied both times. And even this last time, Owen County was called the epicenter of the event. So anytime it comes to any of that money, I put no faith in our state government to pass that down to Owen County.
We've never seen any of it, Greg. You're exactly correct. What's happened in 19, happened in 21. It's just not there. I'd like to move that meeting that we've got scheduled for ARPA up to the last week of March instead of the 1st of April. If you guys don't have a problem with that. We have a meeting on the 28th of March, 21st, I'm sorry. So if we could do that the week of the that same week, like the 23rd, that bumps that up a couple of weeks. 23rd of March on a Wednesday. No one has a problem with that. That falls within the time of maybe putting some ARPA funds back on the table so we can get this bridge rolling. I would like to go ahead and put out the proposal today. It's prepared and ready.
I expect this bridge to cost us somewhere in the neighborhood of $155,000. Now, that being said, I will get, after the settlement in May, I will get another deposit in my bridge fund. And then
We're
there'll
not to
be,
be rude, but I mean, this is wrong, but that could maybe possibly more in July. I mean,
okay,
what I'm saying is that the property taxes are paid in May,
okay.
but statutorily, it could be, July. So I guess that's what we're looking at. This is Bridge 16. The estimate, obviously, the superintendent said is roughly $155,000. As of today, there's $140,000 total. There's some money supposed to come in, but it could be July. Realistically, it's 6 months, as the contract and everything, as you've seen. This is not, this is a single payment, so the actual payment for this would be October, November, most likely is when the actual payment would be due on the bridge.
Then I'm okay with bidding it.
So you guys good with going ahead and doing a proposal for the Bridge 116? It's ready. We've discussed it.
16.
And gentlemen, if you would, again, I can't be extremely rude today. The bridge plans themselves require a signature and then there's a test. The actual bridge proposal, it's 36 pages. There's a table of contents, but this would be the actual 36 pages would be what would be given to the proposed bidders when they request it. The plans and specifications should be made available at both the auditor's office and at the highway department. It says in here, there's no verbal questions. If you submit any question or anything for writing, these would be sealed bids. The timetable would be, if you approve them today, the first publication is February 16th. The second publication is March 2nd. And this anticipates opening and reading the bids at the March 21st meeting. And as you're reviewing, both the auditor and the highway department both should have the complete bridge. It should be made available in both of those locations for proposed bidders.
Commissioners, Jim and I have been over this proposal several times. I find it very in order, and I thank Jim for his hard work on this.
And you're good with the plans here, Jim? You've looked at them?
What the plans I can attest to in my limitations, they are certified by an engineer. His seal is on them. That meets the statute. Now, I'm not a bridge engineer, so as far as the content itself, but.
I just wanna make sure they meet your approval as far as that.
These absolutely comply with any, the I-title, I-36, 36-112, and these are satisfactory and comply with that.
All right.
Gentlemen, the plans come from VS Engineering out of Indianapolis. This is the type of work they do. I have no doubt the plans are good.
All right.
We just need a motion to go ahead with these plans.
Yep, that's where I'm getting ready to go with it, Bob.
Bridge number 16.
Bridge number 16. Do I hear a motion to approve the bid proposal package for Bridge 16 to move forward?
I'll make that motion. We go ahead with the plans for bridge number 16.
I have a motion by Bob, second by Dale. All in favor?
Aye.
Greg Shields, the notice then would go out to the paper on the 16th, and then nothing should be released until the 16th. You have to wait until the paper.
Very good. And what is the date the commissioners will look at that again?
21st, March 21st, I think it's 6 meeting.
Okay. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
The next thing, commissioners, Jim has prepared a proposal for submission for someone to tow our medium and heavy duty equipment. I'd like to put that out for proposed quotes. That way we have a go-to when we're in bad situations to get our heavy machinery moved instead of working on the open market with prices we don't know what they will be.
The only problem I have with this, Greg, is that they're busy and they can't get to you. You're gonna have to use open market no matter what. So it doesn't really.
That's written in there, that would.
It's gonna have to be, because you can't have a vehicle sitting there alongside the road waiting on one company when there's 5 others out there available. That's all I'm getting at.
Gentlemen, on here, just to know, this is slightly different than, this is a request for proposals. This is different than a sealed bid. There could be absolutely one, I'll be clear, there could be no conclusion in any way. But once you receive these proposals, you have the ability to contact, to interview, and to make different changes in the proposal. This is simply a request for proposal for a specific type of towing. You have a lot of leeway once those proposals come in.
Jim, I'm sorry, can you run that by us one more time?
The sealed bid is either or when it comes in. It's open, that's the contract. This is a request for proposals. You're requesting for a specific service. Therefore, and it's stated in the proposal, as commissioners and the cybersecurity, you can interview these proposers. You can make a negotiated agreement. This is just in essence really, are you company A, B, and C interested in towing? And it states right in there can be discussion and there's negotiation. So this is quite different. You can still reject all these. You can accept all of them.
That was my next
So
question.
if Acme, Smith and Son, and whoever would be, you can actually accept all 3 and put them on a rotation. We will call Acme first, Smith second, or if Acme says, I can't do it, you can have a list. So all these are allowed
Okay.
under this.
And that's probably gonna be our best option, the same as we do with stone.
You have a tow list, the amounts would be clear, and the highway superintendent that was clear direction, go to A, all right, now it's B's turn, now it's C's turn.
An example, commissioners, when it comes to heavy towing, if you've got an agreement as to what that is, you're gonna know what kind of parameters you're dealing with if somebody comes out and gets your truck. When it comes to heavy towing, these operators are driving $750,000 machines down the road, and you may very well call one and get a $10,000 bill, but if you've got it set and he's gonna charge the county $500 to tow their vehicles out or whatever it is, or by the hour, then it's a whole lot different process. I would rather be in that situation than call someone and get a $10,000 bill to tow a vehicle.
If you want these to go out, it would be the same timetable. The first publication would be February 16th, the second publication would be on March 2nd, and then the proposals will return to the commissioners on March 21st, 2022. There is a notice.
Check those and make sure we got them all signed.
Prior to the 16th.
Do I hear a motion to approve the towing and recovery service for bid?
I make a motion for that
Mayor, second.
towing and recovery.
Got a motion by Bob, second by Dale, all in favor? Aye.
Do you have the notices and everything? Did you get a copy of the notice? And Commissioners, all the ordinances there are done, but I thought you wanted to do those on the 17th.
We do.
meeting, so all the stop sign and speed limit and those type of things are all
Correct.
ready on the 17th.
Thank you, Commissioners. The last thing I want to address is the last winter storm event that we're dealing with right now. And the Highway Department's still dealing with it in cleanup. You don't hear me preach in public meeting too often, but I'm gonna thank the good Lord for my people and the people that I work with this weekend. Because without a team effort, things wouldn't have came out like they were. I think Sheriff attested to, I don't think there were many injuries, and few wrecks. I know some folks, think we did well, there's some folks that think we missed our mark. But I can tell you from the time the storm started on Wednesday, I had somebody there 24 hours a day until Saturday at 5 p.m. when I sent folks home to be on call. It wasn't shortly after arriving home, I had to get a crew as well as myself out again. We've assisted fire departments. There were a few things that we missed in some of the subdivisions. It's the reason we went back out. And then, two of us were out again yesterday, trying to get slush from roads. One of those including me, so that didn't cost you any overtime. This is going to be an expensive event. We've got a lot of overtime in it. We've got a lot of fuel in it. I did have to have 4 vehicles towed out. That's when I called Commissioner Burton and we went to red. We couldn't even operate during that time, it was so bad. We operated for and with emergency vehicles only for a period of time, just for safety purposes. One of the things I can say that last year, we were able to buy salt straight off the barge through CLR. And I had a barn full of salt and sand. Looks to me, and I'll have a better estimate at our next commissioners meeting on cost outlay for you, but we used approximately 25 to 30% of the product we had in storage. That being said, I think we're gonna be okay, and I'm not gonna have to run out and try to find salt and sand at high prices right now because we were prepared for this type of event. But during the summer, we're gonna need to shop for a barn full of salt in order to get back into good shape. But that's not something we have to do right now while expenses are high.
We've got 6 more weeks, 7 weeks of possible storms, so we don't know what's gonna.
Right.
Can't predict.
And we always have a backup if we can't get salt and sand and we do run out. We work with the local concrete plants because we can get sand mixed with calcium chloride if we would need something in emergency if we did run out. I don't like to use it, but we can get it, but I don't think we're gonna be in that position. We had one truck go down because we lost a hydraulic pump. And then another go down because an electric motor that runs one of the beds went out. We did have 2 of those in stock. We were able to get them going, because we actually lost 3 during this event. We also assisted the town of Gosport. We have an old spreader box that, fits nothing that we have, but we keep it for backup and parts, and, their spreader went down, so we were able to loan them a motor out of it that doesn't fit any of ours, but we can put ourselves in, but to get them up and going.
As we should have.
Yes. Commissioner Burton answered every time I called, thank you. Sheriff Bob Scripps, Kathleen Lamb, Alan McBride, with dispatch was great. Our Facebook, we put back up, especially because the storm was coming in. It provided people information as well as information put out by Councilman Neff. I just can't thank everybody enough how things came off because everybody worked together.
And Greg, I think from what you've told me, we only had 1 truck that actually had some minor damage. Other than that, we didn't turn anything over. We didn't put anything on its side.
No, we didn't, and the truck that had damage was damaged, being pulled out, and I misspoke when I told you that, the tow company pulled the bumper off the truck, and we had to have a tow company come out and get it, but one of my trucks pulled the bumper off the truck.
And if that's all the damage we had, that's minute as far as I'm concerned.
I was a little dismayed with that when I looked, just to inform you, the, bumper, just had the normal regular bumper bolts on this big truck there, but the tow hooks was attached to the bumper, so that's the reason it came off.
Well, we appreciate you taking care of the equipment.
Graders, we put chains on graders. This is the first year that we used graders on gravel roads. They worked good. They're out and working today. My entire crew is berming, and we're using straight sand instead of salt today, to put abrasive on the roads. In places that we can, there's a few places that we are using the salt sand mixture to try to get, on paved roads. I have, spoke with the transportation director at the school. I work very well with him, Tom Curry. He was the first time he's been out, and, we absolutely believe there's no problem for them, with them going to school tomorrow.
I'd like to think that the equipment that we've made available to you in the last couple of years has helped our snow removal process. I know in the past, it's not been very good, and in the last few years, it's been extremely good.
It's been great. It has been great. The new trucks, are able to move a lot of snow and a lot of material. And also with the trucks that had the beds added to them, and my old Mac that, puts 5 tandems out, and you can move a lot of snow, a lot of material with those. Commissioners, I don't have anything else, Jim.
Good, I'm just very quickly, just some facts, just nothing, no opinion here. You're gonna have a meeting, obviously for the art funds, I believe sometime in March, and there's a special meeting. There's some finite numbers as you start to look at these bridges. So as of the 31st, in Cume Bridge, there was 140,000 rounded. Local road and street had 196, MVH is at 1173 is 124, and 1176, MVH is 186,000. That's as of the 31st. Those are all positive balances, okay? But those numbers are what they are. The proposed bridges, that looking at ones that were in area, roughly looking at 150 to 155,000 per bridge. It's not just a single bridge. I mean, 150 plus 150 is 300. I'm not trying to be facetious, I'm just saying, these are finite. The revenue streams do vary for the highway, but in January, it was 132,073 and 132,076. Those are very good numbers. I would, compared to the past 12 months, looking at there, that's a high bar. I wouldn't expect a significant increase. I hope that I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but I think 132 per fund is probably a reasonable amount. And I think we would all be satisfied if that continued for 12 months. Local road and street gets $67,000. That was also in the higher one. That was the wheel tax and the revenue. Those are good numbers. They vary. There's no guarantee. So that's all that's coming in. The highway superintendent's already looked at it, and the staff have done a 3-year history of the expenses. They're clear. Anyone can look at them. There's nothing hidden here whatsoever. If you look at those amounts, those revenue streams of what the amount coming in, the appropriations, and the amount spent, do not allow $150,000 for this bridge, $750,000 for these roads. It's not there. No one means anything by that with discretion.
It's a fact.
But these are just simply facts. So the highway obviously is well run and following the appropriations, but that budget is to keep it going. It's maintenance. It's that type of work. As you discussed, the 3 commissioners, you take a look at it. I think even though it's 1, it'd be better to have 3. Come by March, you're gonna have 3 patterns. I think this is a realistic amount of numbers to say this is what's coming in. You cannot bid projects, and I know you know that, it's just me talking now, but projects can't be bid with no money, like has been rewarding contracts. The other thing, and I'm sure this will go on media, so I'll ask anyone listening to me, don't hear what I'm not saying. The only other option, again, after you've exhausted the revenue that you have, ARP funds, however they want to be used, however you want to use it, is the public financing, and that's a $2 million. There is a possibility of financing bridges and streets. It's a public construction, it's $2 million. So at this point, do that. It's property tax increase. So please, if anyone's listening or hearing me or something, no one's voting, no ordinance, no one is increasing property tax today. But when that discussion comes up about public financing, that is a property tax increase. Now, it's somewhere in the range, depending of your property. It could be $15 a year. I would say probably max capped out about $50 a year, but we're just throwing numbers out in ballpark. So these are just realities. There's nothing more than that. There's mathematically, there does not appear to be, we'll just say, Greg, save $500,000 out of your budget and go build roads. That doesn't seem to be a possibility. If bridges and streets are going to be changed, built, or done, there has to be an additional revenue stream. You do have, say roughly July, there will be another settlement. There will be additional money going into June Bridge, but it's not going to be millions. It's just not, you can pretend that. You have ARP money, or you have the possibility of public financing, or you have the possibility of status quo. That's mathematically kind of where these fall. So the only reason I bring that up, I know you've got a lot of things to think about, a lot of meetings coming up to address these, special meeting and ARP meeting, but that would give you some kind of mathematical numbers to take a look at on how you want to deal with this.
And I thank you for that, Jim, and I know you are exactly correct. Our highway budget is a maintenance budget. It is not a build roads and bridges budget. It's been that way for years, and it's going to continue that way for some time. And you're right, we have already discussed looking at a $2 million proposal to raise money to go to the highway department, which can only be used for roads and bridges. That is our other option if we don't use the funds that are available to us. So good hard thought process and look at the avenues that we have. And I can tell you, in 3 years that I've sat here, there's been 5 tax increases by the county council to take care of public safety issues. 5 in 3 years. I don't think that you want us to put another one of those on the county council for them to raise property tax to keep our roads and bridges open. And that's where we're going. I just wanna make that real clear, and it already has been discussed, that is our only other option. Because the county has an obligation to all 22,000 taxpayers or residents in this county to keep our roads and bridges open. And it can't be done with what we're trying to work with. And I'm not saying that against anyone, any particular group, whatever. Again, like Jim said, we're out here on YouTube stating facts, no fiction here. I wish there was other avenues, but there's just not. So we're either gonna have to take some good hard looks at some of this stuff. And again, Greg, thanks for your work at the winter event.
I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you this in regard to federal aid money, and the infrastructure money does concern me a little bit. A lot of times, we got the engineering done for a community crossing bridge, on Kelly Road for $14,000. State of Indiana and NDOT approved those. These plans that we have for these bridges are gonna cost us somewhere in the neighborhood of $10,000. And they're approved by NDOT. But I can tell you can find in federal aid, I may have to pay over $100,000 for a set of plans. And if this federal aid money isn't entirely funded grant money on the infrastructure plan, and I don't know, somebody would have to tell me, we're gonna have to get the current information, but sometimes our match on a federal aid project is more than if we handled them locally just because of the requirements. We're not building a substandard bridge. It's just the requirements. I mean, Bill used to be with Monroe County and bridges. I think he'll confirm what I'm saying.
You have a lot of different issues, the environmental process that you have to go through. You have to, on road design and right of way, you have to have the money up 100% up front. You reimburse that for 80%. It takes some cash.
So it's my hope that this new infrastructure program does not require us to do that. And it's a process where it would be like the grant money that comes in where we present our plan and there you go. But I don't know, I haven't seen the gist of it yet.
I think we're still looking into crystal ball at this time with that federal infrastructure. Nothing's been set in concrete. We don't know that any of that money will ever show up in Owen County. It may go to the state level and stop right there. And Jim, am I correct in stating that there has been no information coming down to say we're gonna get another $10 million windfall?
No, nothing like where you'd say, where I would come to you, like I can say at the Arpa, okay, there's been distribution of $2 million, it was in July, in May there's gonna be another 2. That's quite different than, yes, I've seen the same things, there is X amount of dollars and there's lots of promises being made, no question about that. But as far as when you're saying, okay, bring it here, show it, what's that plan? No, that is not occurred yet.
So we'll just have to wait and see what that process is. Commissioners, I have nothing further. You don't have anything for me.
Thank you very much.
It is payroll day, so I'm headed back for that.
Yeah, we're gonna bring that up here in just a minute. Elected officials and department heads next. Diane, is Leslie Ann out there, Sam?
I'm good.
Okay.
We did the Board of Finance last time. I had a migraine that night, thought I was being asked for a process. Apparently, we wanted to know how much the town of Gosport got during settlements. The number for the fall settlement, the auditor's office issues a check for $39,787.39. And in the spring, they issued an e-check for $50,950.09.
That's Gosport.
Town of Gosport.
Thank you. The And they also now get roughly 54,000, I think it is, for the, jail lit or PSAP tax, one of those two. They get a fund of that, for public safety.
The amount,
I think it's 54,000 ballpark.
But yes, they get a percentage.
they get a percentage.
Okay, thank you. Let me get Leslie Ann here real quick. She's got a contract that needs to be approved. The microvote, maintenance agreement. If you want to explain that a little bit, Leslie Ann.
That's where they come and they prepare the ballots, they enter them in the machine so that we can transfer them into the voting machines. Cut and dry.
So we have a, maintenance agreement, it's for $13,000.
It is a 4-year commitment.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at, the 4-year agreement.
Locked in for 4 years.
Yep.
And, do I hear a motion to, approve the agreement?
I make a motion, we approve the agreement.
Do I hear a second? All in favor?
Aye.
2 ayes and I abstain. It's been approved. Bob, you'll need to sign that. And for public knowledge,
You're the only one that needs to sign the contract.
I can't since I abstained, so the vice president will be signing it. I will be signing a, conflict of interest document, due to Leslie Ann being in the clerk's office.
Vice President.
There you go.
Thank you, Bob.
That one goes to you. And that will be on file to deal with any clerk issues, as well as payroll. Go ahead, Sam.
I'll add one. When you talked to IT today, did you see if we can get a firm deadline? So we'll know where we're gonna do with that, and you can contact me or Matt, he's smart about that.
Yeah, and if we don't, there'll be somebody else here that will do it.
Yeah, it's a pretty serious thing.
Yes. Do you have anything else, Leslie?
Nope, that's
Okay,
it, thank you.
Bill?
A few weeks ago, I was contacted by the Greene County Surveyor in regard to the Houseville ditch. Houseville ditch runs through Greene and Clay County, comes into Owen County. There's like 100 meters that's, we thought was a ditch.
I gotta go back.
The Greene County Surveyor Board, or Drainage Board, is wanting to put a tax on everybody along that ditch to have it dredged down Prairie, Palmer Bottoms, down around Prairie Chapel and all. Their drainage ditches are sedimented to the point to drain things covered with dirt. Not our problem. But they're wanting to do this. So I got to looking and saying, I've never heard anything about this ditch, that we've had it, other than we paid it, but worse. I looked at deeds, there were no easements, there were no da-da-da-da-da. That ditch does not come into Owen County. In Greene County, it dumps into a creek. So what they're wanting us to do is dredge a creek. That's a whole different thing. And we got a meeting next Monday, and I'm gonna just tell them, whenever they wanna start taxing Owen County people, they can go pound sand. We're not involved with this stupid ditch, nor do we even have a regulated ditch in this county. So I'm not even sure, unless statute-wise, we need to have a drainage board, but we have no regulated ditch to manage.
And I got your phone call, Bill, and so you know the reason I get back with you, John had called me and told me the exact same thing, and then about that time, the snow started falling and things kind of fell apart. And I appreciate you for that research to find out that we have nothing involved in this whatsoever.
And I think over time, we've cleaned out that creek.
And we probably have, you're correct.
But one, not properly, and without DNR, illegal, but that's not, and it's not flooding any of our ground. You know, they're saying they can't drain properly, but they have a drainage board meeting we're invited to. I'm going down there.
Appreciate the information that you get back from that.
So I just wanted you to know, but
Thank you.
they're very adamant that we were gonna charge our people, and I'm very adamant, ain't happening. So just,
And if we can prove the fact that we have no in-county drain issues, there's absolutely no reason to maintain or try to maintain a board.
right. I do know several years ago, back in '78, there's a drain, a ditch that goes through the Jordan Bottoms. At that time, we had a judge that owned that. He said, that's a county ditch. And I remember the highway department, I worked at the highway department, had to go clean out that ditch. But it is not a county ditch. We have no quote-unquote county ditches in the county as far as regulation, that sort of thing. I mean, we have the ditches along the road, but none of those. So I did check with thing, and it shows all the regulated drains in Indiana, none go through Owen County. I say that one just.
You're confirming that with a head shake, Nicole?
Yes, no, I ran up here because I heard you talking about that. At one point, there was something long before I started working with the county, so I've been with the county for 11 years. I know at one point there was an active ditch. I don't know if there was ever a resolution that was done many years ago to see if it was dissolved, if it was no longer, if we were no longer participating. So that, I mean, it would have to be at least 2010 and back.
Well, I know in the short time I've been here, I agree with you. Nobody has proved anything that we have such a thing in this county. We pretend, I guess, that we do, so we establish a board. I mean, Dale's the president of that board now. I know I have been, but there's nothing to ever discuss. So there's no, Jim, you tell us, if there's no
regulated ditch.
We need no board, okay.
Right, but if you do know that, if something does come down the pipe, that for purposes of tax calculation, that it wouldn't be this spring, it would be next year, or maybe the year after, depending upon when the board decided to institute that tax, if it's something that we should have been doing, and the ball dropped a long time ago, I don't know, but know that it may be a year or two before you start seeing any kind of collection, and then the disbursements would happen at settlement time.
Well, obviously, you're talking about Greene counties trying to enforce our county taxpayers. Well, that's not gonna work.
Right.
I mean, I'd love for Greene County to pay some of our taxes, but that's not working
And
either.
over the years, we've always said the Howellsville ditch was in Owen County. But just a little bit before it reached county line, it drops into a creek. And the creek is on us, then that creek drops into Eel River. So,
Okay.
but we have in the past paid for some of these things.
So you can verify this through the assessor's office, through your surveying office, and with the work of.
I have the map from the state that shows the map.
I'd say that we
I
get
make
this
that in the
thing
meeting.
locked up and sealed and done.
Yeah, but I want to bring you guys up to date on it.
Appreciate that. Jeff?
So I know I just want to close the loop, because we did have a conversation with this highway superintendent. Are you guys all together on that now?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Bill, John Reeves, Dale, and Greg have all been down there to check this out.
Thank you.
So, yes.
And you want him going down there?
No,
They have worked as a group to deal with that. Any other elected officials? Angie, you have anything?
Just,
Don't see you very often, so we better ask you.
yeah, obviously I'm gonna have to be putting in some stuff for the future, but some of the concerns and stuff that I came across since we've had this big snowstorm, one of my vehicles sitting outside, I got buried in. I don't know who's supposed to plow in front of me and get me to where I can get out. Because my vehicle's not covered, one of my windshield wipers broke. Because I had personally bought out of my own pocket one of those covers to put on the car or on the van window to keep the frost and stuff off of it. Well, it froze to the window, so it ripped one of the wiper blades off. We had to use a non-county vehicle to go pick up a body. I don't even know what that's gonna cost me yet, if he's gonna charge me for using his vehicle. So,
I'm gonna assume.
yeah, and it was in a bad area, like our van probably wouldn't have even made it anyway. It needed to be a four-wheel drive.
Going back to you being plowed in, the town plows those alleys, okay? That belongs to the town. with Greg and Dakota right outside the door, I would suggest that you get with them and say, with these events, please come by and make sure that they've cleaned in front of the building.
Okay, because I wasn't really sure who I needed to contact on it, whether it was town or whether it was.
Well, the town's gonna come through with their plow, and they can care less if you're stuck there or not.
Yeah.
We as a county do, so we'll have to follow back up to make sure that we get the same as we would the courthouse parking lot out here, that we get you plowed out, so I would make sure you touch with those guys.
Fortunately, my mother had a snow blower thing, and I sort of borrowed it, and we had to dig the van and.
So we still have the issue of getting the door moved and those type of things, and.
Yeah, so
And obviously, that's not gonna happen anytime soon, but.
Right, well, the door is not gonna be able to be moved. That was, I think, the last final, there's not enough room,
Okay,
clearance headwise or something. And we wouldn't be able to, get the van in
there's not enough length with the,
Right.
with bathrooms in there now.
So I think the last thing we discussed is building like a lean-to off the front.
Either that, or maybe off the side between there and the extension office where you
Yeah.
could pull underneath of it, and that might be we probably ought to get some quotes on that.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I'm gonna try to get something together on that, so maybe I can bring it to next meeting, next month.
We've got some contractors available, myself or Bob will get a hold of them and do that for you.
Okay.
Okay? But I would touch base with Greg before you leave and just say, hey, next time we have something like this, make sure my vehicle's plowed out, and obviously take it to one of the local shops and get your wiper arm fixed.
Right, and, but other than that, I don't think, because I just talked to you
Sheila,
about
I'm
the
sorry,
trash too. Because, you know, my trash hasn't been picked up since we lost our maintenance. So, and then I had talked to their guys, and it's been sitting outside for like 2 weeks, and nobody's picked it up, so I just talked to him again about it, so he's gonna send somebody to get my trash. So I think we got that lined out. Are we still no maintenance person?
We now have 7 or 8 applications, if I'm not mistaken, is that, excuse me, correct, Sheila?
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll start that interview process here real soon. Okay?
So that's, I think, that's all I had, was just kind of over what happened over with the snow and what it brought to light, so.
We'll make sure that we get that dealt with for you.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Thank you. Sheila?
Where's the agenda? Don McElroy sent an email. Their mileage rate per the state is going up 41 cents. Do we need an ordinance?
I would expect that we will need to do something with that, Jim. I think we're currently at 36 cents, if that's 39. I knew it was 30 something. I wasn't for sure exactly. So we need to get that adjusted. Polly, I skipped you. Is there anything that you have on the council?
I will kind of reiterate what everybody else has been saying. I think the highway department did an amazing job. I have, my son and daughter-in-law live in Canby, and we had all of our roads cleared before they were even, you know, it was much better than what they had to deal with.
And people don't realize the terrain that this county has until you've been out on it. And again, the folks that live here in town that go from their driveway to the highway and they don't know what Owen County's all about. So you're right, the highway did a good job for what we're dealing with.
I'm gonna just put my 2 cents worth that how I think we need to let the public know those 2 choices on the ARPA funds plus the property tax, because the aging population we have here cannot afford a raise in property tax. I mean, we've got a lot of people on the fixed income that it would hurt greatly, so I think everybody needs to be aware of that that's our two, I mean, you know, like, well, and the third choice of not doing anything, which is kind of not my choice, but.
Right, and for people that don't understand, and I'll touch on this real quick, and I guess we kind of cut Sheila off here a little bit, and she's done, she didn't have anything. Our highway budget does not produce enough income to actually do anything in Owen County other than to patch holes and replace culverts. That is it. We are not a county that can go out here and pave 10 miles a road a year. Our budget doesn't allow that. We're a hole patching community, and we can't survive on that.
And even less so since everything has gone up so much.
Exactly. So, again, it's gonna be a tough issue. Dale, you have anything? Bob?
Right now, no.
I got other stuff.
Sheila's got other stuff, I'm sorry. Sheila, you gotta raise that flag so I can see you here. I thought you were done.
Can we have Jim pursue this $200 bill for the lot that we keep getting from Cataract Lake?
Yeah.
owners?
There's nothing, one, yes, absolutely will, but two, you.
We're not paying it.
But yeah, I will absolutely do that, so I don't mean that, but I'll be able to have an answer very quickly for the commissioners on the next meeting.
This was on your agenda for the.
Donna, you missed the public elected officials.
I was listening, it was.
Sheila's still going right now, so you're gonna have to wait a second.
The cemetery.
Yeah, I wanna deal with that. I'm gonna ask the questions. You brought it up. Is that okay? Jim, have you seen the information about the cemeteries?
I just saw I saw a handwritten letter, and that's the only thing that I saw.
That does not fall on the duty of the commissioners. That is a trustee issue. People seem to think that that is our responsibility. From everything that I've checked into, the commissioners only have one cemetery that they have responsible for, and that's a veteran cemetery down at Riverside. It's just a small, maybe half the size of this room, with a small stone fence around it. Other than that, that's the only one that I'm aware of.
Do you want me to look at and that's specifically for the next meeting then?
Right,
Okay.
and if you've seen the list, this gentleman is, he wants to scold the commissioners for not taking care of these cemeteries that are not our responsibility. And a couple of things on there, if someone has purchased one of these pieces of property that cemetery's on, from my understanding, doesn't give them the necessary obligation to give them access to it.
Must be a right of way.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a lot of different issues, but as far as the main issue concerns commissioners, no, I don't think that is going to fall in any way in the province. There might be the landowner may or may not have some type of obligation, but I'll go through that and have that ready for the 21st.
Okay, thank you.
And the same thing on the one we previously talked about, the homeowners, whatever, that $250 bill.
Yeah, and that was brought up last year, if you remember.
Yeah, I'll have that ready for the 21st also.
We've acquired these properties through tax sale, I assume, or through some means, and now they want us, because the county shows ownership, they want us to pay their homeowners association fees. Doesn't work that way.
I could be wrong, I was under kind of impression like that's just a lot or something, like it's not even a house.
No, it's a vacant lot from what I, a couple of them.
A vacant lot.
Yes. Sheila, you're taking everything I had to talk about.
I'm
Is
just
that your next thing?
reminding.
Okay. We're gonna get out of here quick then, or quicker.
Insurance updates, that's the only other note I have.
Sheila's bringing up the health department. We've got 2 quotes from Machango Construction and Weddle Brothers. We're going to request at our next meeting that both of these companies show up so we can make a decision. There's a substantial difference in the pricing. One of them's a union company, one's a non-union company, and I'm sure that has a bearing on some of that. But we're ready to go to work on that. That'll be used with QCAP funds. Again, at the health department, and I'll be calling Christine today just so everybody knows, I think the nurses station is completely done in there, isn't it, Bob?
As far as I know, everything but the locks on there.
Okay, and last I talked to Mike, he was gonna try to get in there. Now, he probably didn't because of the weather. So sometime this week, we'll finish that up.
Locks were on back order or something, they were getting.
And they can move back in, immediately, as soon as they get, somebody to come in there and clean it back up. Other than that, I don't have anything else either. Insurance, Sheila brought up, we had an insurance meeting Wednesday?
Last Wednesday.
Yeah. Just briefly talking with John, we're gonna be looking at, about a 25, possibly 25% increase in liability. And for those that are aware, our liability and our workman's comp combines about a little over $500,000. So we're looking at an increase there. Cyber insurance is going to go up 25% as well. These are things that we cannot control. We do have FireEye through the state and federal government, I think, and this is the last year for that, and it runs out. It's been free for 3 years, I believe. So we'll see what the state does with that. One thing that John did mention, Parmalee, our agent, that we, with our LAO system or whatever financial system that we use and our email, we will be going to double entry to get in. You'll have 2 usernames, 2 passwords on anything to do with county. Now, I know that everybody uses different programs throughout the state. That won't change, but anything the county does. And something that I'm looking into or going to look into, and it was brought up, we'll see what the cost is. Instead of everybody having to worry about I'm sure people's got books or notes of how many passwords and all this stuff, is maybe go to a thumbprint entry, fingerprint entry, for the county stuff. It's just a thought. There'll be an expense, but for everybody to remember, 2 usernames, 2 passwords every time they sign in. With everything else you got going on, it's tough. Now, Donna.
And then with that, because I was thinking like on phones or whatever, if you burn your fingers or whatever, you may want a second one, or if somebody leaves their position in their computer, the IT just needs to be able to get into it some other how. Because something can happen to a fingerprint. Our sidewalks were not touched. And I don't think extensions off the sidewalks were touched either. And I don't think we're gonna get any more snow, but just in the future when they clean the courthouse.
One of the highway guys had done that and probably wasn't told to get in front of yours. I'll make sure that gets passed on until we get a new maintenance guy.
And it may not happen.
I think he came out of the back of the armory with the snow blower, went past the armory for the daycare deal, and then come on up and hit the courthouse and just didn't hit the other side. So again, somebody that's not normally doing that, but we'll pass that on. Yeah.
And we turned claims in on February 2nd. Were those claims with the claims that you did today, or are those claims gonna be for the one for the next commissioners meeting?
You'll have to ask the auditor that. She's the one that takes care of that.
They will be for the next cycle. Again, what was turned in was, we can look real quick and see if they're specifically in there. If you're needing an out of claim cycle, now's the time to ask.
How long does the claims need to be in for you guys to be able to view them? Because technically then, now, like if we get a bill February 3rd, that bill will be turned in like a couple of weeks, but it will not be approved until March 7th. So that is 30 days out.
So it's 30 days late all the time.
We're already gonna be late. So is there any way, I don't know how else.
And it's funny you said that because, and Sheila will tell you, I got a stack of invoices and these guys got them in email and I physically flipped through them because I saved piles. I put them back because I'm gonna deal with this stuff at some point, or the department. And I found some stuff in there that was December. And that really bothers me because that now falls over into our 2022 budget money that was actually figured in 2021 that's going to affect our general fund balance, and I can go on and on and on. So I don't know how we deal with that. The state says when it comes to checks, we have to turn those in next day, no later than the next day. Am I right, Sheila? Let's say that we collect a check from the highway department, gets one for a pipe, or we have an insurance settlement check. We can't sit on that check. It's supposed to come to the auditor's office, the treasurer's office, whatever, for that next day. 24 hours. She made it very clear. And I'm not indulging anything in that meeting, I'm just stating a fact that that's what the state requires. I guess we're gonna have to do that same thing in the claims process. When you get an invoice, it's gonna have to come over here immediately, the next day. Because otherwise, we're constantly 30, 45 days behind. We're getting looked at by vendors anyway. We don't need that. So I know what you're talking about, because I'm seeing more and more of it.
So it's just like, I wonder, like, February 17th, I'm not sure if that's the date of the next commissioners meeting somewhere.
The 21st, yeah.
Okay, so on the 21st, when do we have to have it into the auditor's office? I mean, is there a set amount of days that's required by law, or just required by you guys for you to see them so that they can be approved on the 21st?
We approve what's presented to us,
Okay.
and that's all I can say. That's where we stop, okay?
There was a schedule that was sent out, and the Wednesday, the commissioners' ordinance is that they have to have everything on that Wednesday prior to their meeting date. Ours has always been the Wednesday prior to have them in here, to give them a week to be processed.
Right.
Unfortunately, this time around, there were 3 weeks in between the last commissioner meetings, and that's gonna happen again this month because of the same circumstances, the dates fall on the same. So normally we try to squeeze them in if people bring them in at the end, but we can't guarantee that we can get them in there in order to be able to have them ready to be processed and to them on the Wednesday prior to their meetings.
So technically, the second could have been approved today then?
There could be some of them that are on there. I'm not sure when you turn stuff in or if you got them in there.
Fine, just as if it was bumping, okay.
And the other thing on some of the December bills that you've seen or whatever, there were thousands and thousands of dollars worth of encumbrances. There were many departments. I finished up Donna's this weekend. So those are some of the bills that you're seeing that came in late that people are still encumbering or bringing them forward.
And I realized that, but we weren't supposed to have any encumbrances, and we ended up.
They're not out of the county general.
Right,
The
well,
ones that were
okay.
in there were not out of the county general.
Because like ours is on a grant, and then so we have bills up until like December 30th, and there's no cycle to get them, like, and they have to work or do it.
Sure, everything's gonna roll over.
And
Right.
yes, and so we have to clean off that grant cycle that ended December 31st, and we don't wanna take, like you're saying, 2022 money for that.
They're still paying bills on this.
So in some of her process of encumbrances weekend, not everything automatically rolls over. The cash balances do, but additional appropriations will have to be brought forward for some of the amounts that are in there. That's a process that'll have to go to the council. But again, you know, we sent out a schedule of when all the claims were due. I do believe this Wednesday is the due date for anything that has come in from 3 weeks ago, unfortunately now. So anything that is coming in by this Wednesday will be processed to make it to their 21st meeting.
Okay.
And remember, the meeting date is the Monday, but the checks do not actually go out until that Wednesday.
Right, it's just that week.
Yes.
Okay.
And Sheila made a point, out-of-cycle claims can always happen, if necessary. But when that happens, they have to finally end up here for final approval, even though they've already been paid and sent out, and those type of things. But again, I'll let the departments and Sheila battle how the pay goes. Like I said, we just approve whatever's presented to us, so. Any other questions out there? I've got one more thing and I'm gonna finish. Going through the claims process, Sheila, I found the sheriff's department is paying a Gordon Flesh maintenance contract, which they should not be paying. That has all been switched over to Toshiba. There should be documentation somewhere to prove that. But we paid $194 to a company we don't owe anything to.
I know we still have a couple places, but we'll check.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Are you gonna schedule a maintenance?
Oh, I'm sorry, Sheila, hang on a minute. What is our time frame for advertising for an executive session? 10 days?
Does it have to be 10 days also for an executive?
It'd be better with the maintenance and by the time we do it, yeah, it would be best if we could do that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sheila, if you'll look at the calendar and pick us a date, we can have those, maintenance interviews.
What day is our next meeting?
The 21st,
Is that
the night meeting.
is that a holiday?
No, it's not. It is on the calendar, but we take President's Day, I think, the day after Thanksgiving or somewhere in there. We take it another place.
Okay.
Obviously, we want 10 days from today. We're looking at what about the, and I won't be here that week.
I can say if I get in the paper on the 9th, we can do anything the week of the 21st.
Well, why don't we just do it on the 22nd, and then that'll give us 3 meetings that week.
22nd of February.
Yep.
3 days in a row.
3 days in a row, we'll have a commissioners meeting, night meeting, public hearings, executive meeting on the 22nd, and a special meeting to deal with ARPA funds on the 23rd.
So it'll be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Correct. And we might as well just do it and get them done instead of spread them out.
There we go.
Jim, you have any issues with that?
No, that's fine.
What time?
Let's make that meeting at 4 o'clock. There's no sense holding you here till 6 and all that.
Do you want the interviewees here? Do you bringing everybody in?
We'll bring everybody in that is, put in an application, have the first one here at 4:30 or whatever, that'll 4:15, that'll give us time to get set up, and get the meeting opened up. Now, motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.